Don't forget to chalk that back tire before you start working on your car.
So we used a 22mm deep socket to remove all the lug nuts, and now we're going to start working on disassembling the brake.
All right, so here's a close-up of the brake assembly, and we are going to loosen this slider bolt right here, as well as the lower one located right here. And that's going to be a 19. It's going to be a 19-inch socket. So with the bottom bolt removed, you can open up your brake, and I like to swing it up, and I'm not just going to let it sit there. I actually take a hanger and I just kind of manipulate it into a hook, and I will just all I got to do is hook this thing to the coil so it doesn't swing down and break my hand while I'm working on the brake. And once I do that, I've got full access to the brake pads. I'm not doing rotors because these look like they're in pretty good shape. So we're just gonna clean that up and start putting in the new brakes. All right, so just a quick shot. So I've got a hanger around the coil, and I just got it holding this loop. So it's all it's doing is keeping this thing from swinging down while I'm working on those brake pads. All right, since this is a bigger vehicle, I did decide to go with ceramic, so I'm using BrakeBest brand ceramics for these front brakes. Here's a shot of the inside brake pad, and as you can see, it's just about gone, and that little wear indicator did exactly what it was supposed to, started squealing before we started damaging. It's not perfectly smooth, but you know, this is a 2015, but nice smooth area. So I will wear in these new brake pads when I get them on. So that's what the inside one looks like. With the brake pads removed, now I got to remove the upper and lower clip that hold the brake pads in, because I've got new ones as part of my kit on this assembly. So I'm just going to use a flathead screwdriver and pop these guys out carefully. All right, with my old brake pads out, now I'm just gonna take a wire brush and start cleaning up this wheel. I've got some carb cleaner spray I'm gonna use because I don't have brake cleaner with me right now. And I'll spray this whole thing down, get it all cleaned up. I will also use a C-clamp, and I'll show you, to push in the brakes so that I can slide them over the new brake pads, because it's gonna be a little wider when I get those put together. All right, so I'm gonna scrape off any chunks of rust before I install the new brake pads. That other wheel, but I'm gonna try and go around it. Here's some of the pieces of rust coming off, but not a huge deal. But these are my new clips, and I want to make sure that they essentially match the old ones. And so a little comparison. These look like a pretty good fit. I'm going to put some brake and caliper grease on here and a little bit inside it. So I want my brake pads to slide as smoothly as possible. All right, this is the brake and caliper grease. And I'm going to apply a little bit underneath the clip, both sides. So you kind of want to start here. Roll it in. All right. All right. When you get a set of pads, it's going to be a wear indicator, and there'll be a larger flat spot where the pistons are going to hit. So that's going to want to be on the inside. All right. But before we put it in, we are going to put a little grease on these tabs. Again, we want it to slide nicely. Not a ton, but good amount. All right. Again, this has the flat spot and the larger, so that's going to go on the inside. Oh, perfect. All right. Same thing. We'll grease on these tabs. All right. Brake pads are installed. One thing I like to do, not everybody does this, I do. I like to actually put some grease on the outside of the brake pad again, so it doesn't get stuck. I also like to put a good amount back here where the pistons are going to be making contact. It'll help with corrosion, but also keep things from sticking. All right, now, before I slide the brake back down, my pistons are out. So I'm going to use a C-clamp to gently push both of those in. So remember, this is hydraulic, so take your time while you're doing this. Just push it gently. Let that fluid move through the brake line. And if you want, you can kind of push a little bit. You don't want to get it cockeyed, but you just go nice and slow. And I'm just pushing that piston back in. So this will slide over the width of the new pads. I'm just going to push it in until it's about flush, which is a good sign. And we'll get the second one. There are two. That's it. And let's roll. Again, just going to put a little bit of caliper grease on the surface of the piston. Again, I do not want it getting corroded and stuck to the brake pad. All right. Release my little hanger. And gently I'll close up. Just like that. Get it lined up. There we go.
And on the bolt that I removed, I like to put a little anti-seize. So the next time I need to work on my brakes, I can get my hardware off. Put that back in. All right, now I'll tighten these guys down. All right, once you get those on, the torque spec is 74 foot-pounds. Top and bottom. All right, this brake is done. Before I put the wheel back on, I do like to put some anti-seize on these threads as well. For future work. All right, everything I did on this wheel, I'm going to repeat on the other side, so I'm not going to film that. If you got any questions, leave a note. If you're doing your own brakes, nice work. You're saving yourself some money.